we've done a lot of work in areas, our organization, the Somatic Experiencing Trauma Institute, in areas where there have been tremendous natural disasters, earthquakes, floods, tsunamis, hurricanes. And we've worked with the children there. And so many cases where they had have them relive these and talk about these things, they were clearly re-traumatized. They were clearly re-traumatized. So we had developed different kinds of games where they could master these feelings of helplessness.
Now that's what I wanted to ask you about. How would a parent be towards a child that they know has had some trauma?
Yeah. The main thing is the shock reaction. It's a biological reaction. It's meant to pass. It's meant, you go into it and you're meant to come out of it. It prevents you from feeling pain. Yeah. And again, if there's injury, that can be very important. So when kids have a fall, often parents, of course, the first thing we tell parents is take that moment for yourself. When you're in the airplane, they always tell you, in the unlikely event of a depressurization, these things are going to pop out. And if there's a child or somebody infirm next to you, take the mask first to yourself, then help them with the mask. And we give similar advice to parents. Take the moment, because parents, when they see the child spill off the bicycle or get terrified, in the hospital, they have fear. And often this fear comes at anger, and the child is then yelled at. Why didn't you, do what we told you to do? You're not supposed to be riding your bicycle here. It comes from fear, from the parents' fear. So we take a moment and give the parents some guided exercises so they can learn to feel the fear in their body and learn, this is the key in letting it move through. And every intense sensation will do that. It will accumulate in the body for some moments, but then if we learn to attend to it, it's a kind of a body mindfulness, a bodiness, that it will move through, and then the parents are able to be there in the present. And then they come up to the child, depending on the age. If it's a young child, to take the child in their arms to hold it. If it's a little bit older child, to sit by their side, to put the hand very often, say, on their upper back to give them support, and just to say, sweetheart, it's okay, you just had a fall, you're going to be okay, and I'm just going to be here with you. And you see, we wrote a book called Trauma Proofing Your Kids, a Parent's Guide for Instilling Confidence, Joy, and Resilience, just to teach parents these kinds of tools. And we've gotten so much feedback from parents who say, the kid was just devastated. They sat with them for a few moments, and then that shaking, trembling, sometimes crying, deep, spontaneous breath, and then the kids would just run off and get back to play. Now, of course, if there's a possibility of any injury, especially concussion, you have to monitor the child very carefully and bring the child to a doctor or to an emergency room. But even so, to help the child come out of shock before that, because if they're frightened and then they come into a frightening environment, that multiplies the fear. So anyhow, in these different situations, we design different games that children play, which again help them have new feelings. We in China and Thailand, a number of the children, adults as well, developed hysterical paralysis afterwards. We saw this one little boy. I think this was after the China earthquake. He was like about 3 and a half. And he'd been paralyzed, and so one of my students, a beautiful young man, a Brazilian student, practitioner from Brazil, Alexandre Brote, he just sat with the child, played a little game with the child's nose, because the child could, still move his head, and then started just touching his feet and finding out where the stuck movements were, where the frozen movements were. And in 20 minutes, the child was running around the room, and you could see the expression on all the doctors that were there. Was like, what? But again, you know, trauma is a fact of life. It does not have to be a life sentence. And there are so many things that we can do in prevention and healing, and also healing in groups. I think that's another really important aspect.